Hi guys, welcome back to Scott Family Homestead. We are waiting on Piglets, and I feel like we've been waiting forever. We got a dumpster to clean out the barn. I'll show you a few clips of my husband and kids working on the barn yesterday, and then I'll show it to you when we go in to check on Miss Piggy. We've been getting a ton of rain, and so we're dealing with that at the moment. Everything is wet and muddy. But everybody's doing good. But yeah, we've done some major cleanup on the barn since my barn video came out. If you haven't watched that one, it was a tour of the whole barn and all the work that needs to be done. And so I'll show you the clips right now of the boys doing all the work. We still have a ways to go in here, but check this out. What a change. So this is where all of the cat houses and cat stuff was. There was lumber and windows and all kinds of stuff in here. And so it is looking so good. Still a lot more to do, but we are making progress. We're gonna have that dumpster filled in no time, I'm sure. But now we're here to check on Mama. And we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're looking at and how we kind of guesstimate how close she is to giving birth. I feel like we've been waiting forever. I've been up at night checking on her. So we have a camera in here, thankfully. But every couple hours at least, I set an alarm on my phone. I check the cameras to make sure there aren't like piglets crawling on her. I don't want them to be cold when they're first born, but we also don't want to leave heat down in here. It is a little bit chilly down here. And so I have been up around the clock watching this pig. It's harder to estimate due dates on animals when you have your own breeding stock, because if you don't see them breeding, which you rarely do, you won't necessarily see them being bred. We did see Dozy had quite a bit of interest in her. It was sniffing her backside, and you could tell about when she was in heat. From that, I figured her due date was 2 days ago. So I started watching her very closely about 5 days ago. Now we're getting into the point where she's either overdue or she wasn't actually fully in heat when I took those notes and noted that. So now we're just waiting to see, but I can show you a few things that we watch for to show that labor is coming. First things first, you can see that she is filling with milk. You can see each teat has milk to it. You will especially see it in the back, and when she stands up, it'll look like a bag, like on a dairy cow, when they are full of milk. The bag hangs down and fills with milk. Get her just sitting in her feed bowl. One behavior that you'll notice, usually about a day prior to them going into labor, is nesting. And she hasn't really built a nest, which is concerning to me. Makes me think that she's not going to have these babies for another couple days. She hasn't really taken the time to build a nest. But I'm wondering if, because it's her second litter, if maybe that'll come really close to when she's about to give birth. But as of right now, no nest. She's got plenty of hay to make one. We just haven't seen that behavior quite yet. So you can definitely see her milk has come in. You can see it in each one of her teats. They call those milk lines. You can see a very distinct line on her belly of the milk bag hanging down. If we squeeze them, milk does come out. The next thing we're looking at is her hind end. You can see her bag hanging way down. It's also very loose on the back end. That kind of evolves over time. With how loose she is on the back end and how much milk has come in, I would say any time now. We're just waiting for those behaviors of building a nest and getting comfortable. Once she has her nest, she'll lay on her side in her nest, and then she'll start to pull her back legs up towards her belly, maybe even kick at her belly when she's starting to have those contractions. When the piglet is really close to coming out, they'll start to kind of shiver and tense up those back legs, and that's how we will know. Last time we missed when she actually went into labor. We were watching her really closely, and I ended up checking the camera, and she had a little piglet climbing over her back, and that's how I knew she was in labor. Wasn't until after the first one was here. So we're watching her super closely this time. Definitely want to be here in case we need to intervene or help her out at all. So we will just continue watching. So if you missed it, the reason she's in here is because her pen has the boar in it, and we definitely don't want her to give birth with the boar right there. So she gets put in this safe little barn stall for the next few weeks, and then we'll find a spot for her outside. We probably will end up moving the boar to a different location and letting her have her normal hut back with her babies. But in the meantime, we're just waiting. So I'll let you know if anything changes today. For now, I'm gonna head out to the garden. We're gonna go ahead and harvest a bunch of stuff and hopefully find something we can preserve today and make the time pass so that I'm not sitting staring at a camera. So we'll head out to the high tunnel and see what we can find. Keep ourselves busy today. Maybe do a little more barn work. Still a lot of dumpster space to fill. I had a lot of suggestions from people to burn the old hay that is in the barn. But my concern with that is that you're not really supposed to burn fiberglass insulation, which was the whole reason we couldn't just use it as compost. And I've looked into it, and I know some people would probably just do it. But the chemicals that are released when you burn the fiberglass, I'm not willing to risk with my family and my kids, so still working on getting the hay out. I might put the hay in the silo since it's all going to get buried anyways. I don't know the long-term implications of burying fiberglass. It is very small amounts at this point. We've gotten rid of all the big stuff, but anyways. Got my harvesting boxes, so we're gonna head into the garden. Cleaning out the barn has been a tough one for me because I went to school for natural resources and I understand the environmental impacts of a lot of these things. I mean, we cloth diapered our kids, and we only buy paper towels for the cow so that we can make sure she's really clean. Otherwise, we do unpaper towels. We try to make some really good, healthy choices as far as like packaging. And now I'm not saying every single time, but we try to make these lower waste decisions in just these little tiny decisions that we make. And then all of a sudden, you're filling dumpsters full of garbage, and it almost feels like it's undoing all the work that we've done to try to be more environmentally conscious of these things. And so it's conflicting because at the same time, a lot of these things are not things that we want to have around our kids, like just loose insulation or old stuff with lead paint on it, or just things that aren't safe in general. So we have to kind of balance that out of getting rid of things that are just plain unhealthy for our family, but also not wanting to create a bunch of waste. A lot of our furniture is used, repurposed, redone. We try to save as much stuff as we can and reuse it, partially for budget and partially for the environmental impact. And so it has been a really conflicting feeling for me to just fill dumpsters full of things. Everybody's got to make decisions that work for their family, but this one's a tough one. We're trying to save as much as we can from going into a landfill. If it's something that can be repurposed or sold or donated, we're trying to do that. But there's just a lot of stuff that's why it was left there. It's not good. It's no good. Lipstick pepper. Lesia pepper. This one is not fully ripe. I kind of like them when they're like this and they're like half green, half red. But it's got a little sunspot on it, so I'm gonna take that. We got some mini bells. I like these chocolate colored ones. We got some other ones. These the kids will just eat. Wanting to do some pickled peppers today. I'm gonna pick some hot peppers for that. And probably some natapinos for in there. Here's another one. And dual colored. Got some bell peppers that are really close to turning. These are the King of the North bell peppers. Such good producers, even on this little tiny plant. These are the natapinos. They are plenty big, so we'll get a whole bunch of those picked today. Corbachis are coming along. These are just super fun. Kids love them. They turn orange and then red. So they sweeten up as they ripen. This is a violet sparkle. This is one of my favorite peppers this year. It starts out purple like this and then ripens with this red in it. But you can eat them either way. So cool. With our sweet peppers. And we'll pick some hot peppers too. Earlier this week I came through here and I picked all of my chili peppers, my cayenne peppers, the buena mulatas, and all the poblanos, and I freeze dried them and made a hot chili pepper powder to use in cooking. And then I took a couple serranos and a whole bunch of sweet peppers and I made a paprika powder. And so I'm interested to use those and see how spicy they are, because I feel like they're probably spicier than I was expecting them to be. But we loaded the freeze dryer with those. It's probably my favorite use for the freeze dryer right now is making powders and spices. Really enjoying that. Something that I never really did before. You definitely could use a dehydrator for your peppers and grind them up for spices. It's not impossible to do, it just takes a little bit longer. Wouldn't hesitate to dehydrate them if that's what you have available to you. But we sure do love the freeze dryer. I kind of thought all my cucumbers died, and now all of a sudden they're producing like crazy. I don't know what happened. They went through a lull, they got kind of yellowy. They were not looking great. And now all of a sudden, we're back to flowering, back to it, producing like crazy. So. Not the prettiest cucumbers, but they'll do. That's not what you want to see. That's a bummer. That one's going to be pretty close to a record for me. Biggest tomato I've ever grown was 1 pound 13 ounces. This is for sure over a pound, so that's cool. And many more like it on this plant. Okay, I lied. It's got to be this mushroom basket. Check this out. Can't even get a video of it. It's gigantic. It's huge. There's like 3 of them on this one plant. They're just massive. Slightly smaller one down here. It's been like 3 days since we picked, so there's a lot in here. That was split. Since we've been running our irrigation, which is new to us, I think we've been putting a little too much water down. Starting to get some splitting, so we gotta dial back how much water we're using. Thank you. These purple potted pole beans are always a really good producer for me. And they grow nice and straight, perfect for preserving, perfect for dilly beans. It's this really cool purple color. But then when you cook it, it actually turns green, so the purple comes out of it. But one of my all-time favorite veggies to grow. My kids prefer to eat these raw, which I think is really weird. I don't like raw green beans. But they're eating their vegetables, so I'm not gonna fight. Alright. The box is coming along. I cannot even believe that this kale is still producing. This is from the spring. I was gonna plant a fall garden, but everything is still going pretty good. I have more kale than I could ever dream of. Carrots are getting pretty big down in there. These were those extra tomatoes that I planted, the little Gold Rush. These little tiny tomatoes on there. And they're looking amazing. These are beans that I'm drying on the vine. So they're starting to produce the actual beans in there. Hopefully I have enough time for these to actually dry. So we have some dried beans. More carrots over here. Everything's just so perfect right now. It's feeling very fall here. We're starting to get a lot of yellowing leaves, even leaves falling. It feels very cool. I think it's a high of 68 today. We have our sunflower patch starting to die back a little bit. Still lots of good ones in here though. They are beautiful. We have our really tall ones here too. So these ended up slightly taller than me. I grew a 13-foot sunflower one time, and I was hoping, it was from these seeds, so I was hoping I'd get some more again. And then we've got, these are all ones that I planted later. The bees are loving them. So a lot of those are volunteers. We had just tilled in some of our sunflowers from last year. We have everything from small pumpkins to medium pumpkins to gigantic pumpkins. They're all starting to turn orange in here. You can finally start to see them a little bit. The powdery mildew is starting to take hold in some of these older plants. This is probably the prettiest pumpkin I've ever grown. So I'll have to start cutting some of these out of here. There's a lot hidden in there that you couldn't see before, but now that they're turning orange, you can kind of see them. Somehow they just keep going. So this is our volunteer pumpkin patch. So they are way ahead of some of our other pumpkins. Oh my gosh, they extend so far. And then I have a whole bunch of squash in here of other varieties. Some of them are doing good, some of them not so much. Yep. Over by the meat birds here. Got even more. Meat birds are doing good. They go to the butcher next week, I believe. 1 week left, and they're looking pretty nice sized already. And we got one more round in the brooder that are coming out here after these guys are gone. They've been working through and feeding my orchard. Try to get everything to work together here. Use our animals to fertilize our plants. and to break up cow patties. And so we keep a lot of chickens, more than most, but they actually do a lot of work around here for us, and so I like having them, and they're helpful, so we keep a lot of them. They free range. We thankfully don't have a lot of predator pressure right near our house. Our last house had just incredible predator issues. Everybody had to be locked up, and it's definitely a different way of raising animals versus letting them wander your property. And so the chickens here wander. We don't have anybody nearby that they could bother, and they go out in the pastures. They break up cow patties. They are cheaper to feed because they are free ranging all the time, and they give us lots of eggs that we sell at our farm stand. And so I really like having the chickens. We hatch them out, and any of the roosters will get canned up at the end of the year. We keep a few, obviously, of our nicest roosters, but any of the young ones that haven't hit that hormone boost yet and still taste a lot like a meat bird will get put in the freezer. I'm gonna go bring these vegetables in and see what else we've got going today. All right, we got tomatoes. These need about 1 more day to ripen, I think, and then this whole thing is gonna be made into sauce tomorrow. I've got some beans. These I just rinse and put in ice water, pat them dry, and then they go in the fridge, and they will last a week or 2. These are all natapinos. We're gonna make natapino poppers for the kids. Stuff them with cream cheese and put some bacon around them. They really don't like that. And then I gotta decide what to do with these. I got poblanos, serranos, and jalapenos in here. I think I'm going to make these into green chilies and pressure can them. So those will get blistered, chopped up, and canned. And then these are our sweet peppers, and these will just be for snacking and eating. The kids will really like that. Every night, if we grab a couple loads out of here, we'll get there.
Yep, a little bit every day.
Back in the barn. No action. She is still up and eating, and seems the same as before. So I'm gonna clean out her pen tonight because it is getting kind of messy. And we're just gonna keep waiting and seeing what happens. I looked back at her first birth, and her body just seems so much further along, like so much more milk and so much looser in the back. So I don't know what the holdup is, but she doesn't seem to be sick or having any problems. She's not lethargic. She's her normal self. So we're just gonna wait, and I think what's gonna happen is it's just gonna happen very quickly because her body has done this before. So she's eating right now. She seems fine. We're gonna get this cleaned out, and we'll check on her again tomorrow. So thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We are so happy you are here, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.